My name is Wesley Pierce, and I am 42 years old. I founded Pierce Technologies 15 years ago, turning it from a startup in my garage to a multi-million-dollar company. Last month, my wife Diana orchestrated a board vote to remove me as CEO. The board voted. "You are out," Diana smirked. "My boyfriend is the new CEO now." I smiled calmly. Check page 391 of the contract. They had no idea what was coming. Before I continue my story, where are you watching from? Drop a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe to hear how I reclaimed everything they tried to steal. Diana Lawson walked into my life during our senior year at Stanford University. We met at a tech startup competition where my software security concept won first place. Diana, with her marketing degree and confident smile, approached me at the after party. "That encryption algorithm you presented was brilliant," she said, surprising me with her technical knowledge. "But your market positioning needs serious work." Her directness caught me off guard, but she was right. I could code circles around anyone, but I struggled to explain my vision to investors. Diana offered to help refine my pitch deck, and within weeks, we were inseparable, professionally and personally. After graduation, while my classmates accepted cushy positions at Google and Microsoft, I rented a tiny apartment in Palo Alto with a garage that became my workshop. Diana took a marketing position at a mid-sized tech firm but spent evenings and weekends helping me build what would become Pierce Technologies. "We're going to change the world," I would tell her as we worked late into the night, surviving on ramen and coffee. "Our security software will protect millions." The first 2 years were brutal. 3 times, I nearly ran out of money. Once, I sold my car to make payroll for the 2 programmers who believed in my vision. Diana stood by me, never wavering in her support. "Wesley, this company is going to succeed because you don't know how to fail," she said during our darkest financial moment. When our first enterprise contract came through, a $300,000 deal with a regional bank, Diana was the first person I called. That night, I proposed to her at the same university courtyard where we'd first collaborated. She said yes immediately. "We make an unstoppable team," she whispered as I slipped the modest engagement ring on her finger. Our wedding was small but meaningful. Diana understood that every dollar we saved went back into the company. We honeymooned briefly in Big Sur, both of us still answering work emails from our cabin overlooking the Pacific. The company grew steadily. By year 5, Pierce Technologies employed 30 people and occupied a real office in downtown Palo Alto. Our proprietary security protocols gained recognition in the industry, and Diana officially joined as our marketing director, leaving her other job to bet completely on our shared vision. We bought our first home in Menlo Park, a 3-bedroom Victorian we renovated ourselves on weekends. Those were exhausting but happy days. We worked hard, believed in each other, and planned our future together. Diana wanted to wait on having children until the company was stable, and I agreed. The business was our baby. By our 10th anniversary, Pierce Technologies had become an industry leader in cybersecurity. We employed over 200 people, opened offices in Boston and Austin, and our annual revenue reached $40 million. We celebrated with a trip to Japan, our first real vacation in years. "You did it," Diana said as we shared sake in a quiet Tokyo restaurant. "We did it," I corrected her, raising my glass. "I could never have built this without you." Diana smiled, but something seemed off, a momentary hesitation in her eyes that I dismissed. Looking back, that moment in Tokyo marked the beginning of the change. When we returned, Diana suggested bringing in specialized executives to help manage our growth. I agreed, trusting her business instincts as I always had. The first few hires were excellent, experienced professionals who added value immediately. Then Diana recommended Tyler Vaughn for Chief Strategy Officer. "His experience at Meridian Software is exactly what we need for our expansion phase," she explained, showing me his impressive resume. I noted that Tyler was remarkably good-looking in his LinkedIn photo, tall, confident, Harvard MBA, but pushed away the flicker of insecurity. Diana had never given me reason to doubt her, and Tyler's credentials were stellar. The day Tyler started, Diana wore a new dress and spent extra time on her appearance. Again, I ignored the warning signs, buried in product development for our next-generation security platform. As months passed, subtle changes appeared in our relationship. Diana started working late, often in strategy sessions with Tyler. She bought a new wardrobe, upgraded her car, and password-protected her phone, something she had never done before. The finance team identified some security vulnerabilities, she explained when I asked about the password. I'm just following best practices. I believed her because I wanted to. Because after 15 years, trust was fundamental to our relationship. Because the alternative was unthinkable. The first concrete evidence came 6 months after Tyler joined Pierce Technologies. I was returning from a client meeting in Seattle, arriving at the office earlier than expected. As I passed the conference room, I heard Diana laughing, not her professional laugh, but the intimate one usually reserved for our private moments. Through the glass partition, I saw her sitting unusually close to Tyler, his hand resting on hers as they reviewed documents. When they noticed me, they separated instantly, their movements betraying guilt. "Wesley! You're back early," Diana said, her voice slightly higher than normal. "Tyler and I were just finalizing the presentation for the board meeting." Tyler nodded professionally. "Your wife has brilliant insights into the European market expansion." I smiled tightly, pretending I hadn't seen the unnecessary physical contact. "Looking forward to seeing the presentation tomorrow." That night, Diana came home late, claiming they had needed to refine the financial projections. She smelled of unfamiliar cologne. "How are you feeling about the board meeting?" I asked casually over the late dinner she barely touched. "Nervous but excited," she replied, not meeting my eyes. "This expansion could double our market cap within 18 months. I nodded, watching her carefully. "And Tyler? How's he settling in?" Diana's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then turned it face down. "He's bringing valuable perspective. The Harvard network opens doors we couldn't access before." Over the next weeks, I noticed increasing irregularities. Financial reports delayed. Strategy documents modified without my input. Board members calling to clarify decisions I hadn't been consulted on. Samuel Winters, my oldest friend and board member, approached me after a particularly tense executive meeting. "Wesley, something's off," he said quietly as others filed out. "Diana and Tyler presented completely different growth projections to me privately last week." My stomach tightened. "Different how?" "More conservative. They suggested your technology roadmap might be too ambitious." Samuel hesitated. "They also implied you might be losing your technical edge." That night, I accessed Diana's company email. I'd never invaded her privacy before, but the company I'd built from nothing was at stake. What I found confirmed my worst fears. Dozens of exchanges between Diana and Tyler outlined a careful strategy to undermine my leadership, culminating in a board vote to remove me as CEO. Diana would become chairwoman, Tyler the new CEO. They needed 2 more board votes to succeed. But there was more. Personal messages. Late-night hotel confirmations. Intimate photos never meant for my eyes. My wife of 13 years wasn't just betraying me professionally, she was having an affair with the man she'd brought into our company. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. The betrayal consumed me, but I forced myself to function normally while I gathered evidence and consulted quietly with Raymond Chen, a corporate attorney who had been with us since the early days. "Document everything," Raymond advised. "Forward the emails to a secure account. We need to understand exactly what they're planning before we react." For 3 agonizing weeks, I watched their plot unfold while pretending I suspected nothing. Diana grew increasingly distant at home, often not returning until I was asleep. At work, she and Tyler held closed-door meetings with board members and key investors. Then came the moment I could no longer ignore. Passing by a small conference room, I overheard Tyler's voice. "Once Wesley's out, we'll streamline the technical division." His obsession with perfect security protocols is killing our margins. Diana's response chilled me. The board's nearly convinced. Wesley's too caught up in code to see what's happening. He trusts me completely. Tyler chuckled. That's his biggest weakness. I wanted to burst in, confront them both, but Raymond's advice echoed in my mind. Strategic patience. So I walked away, the wound of betrayal deepening with each step. That evening, Diana announced she needed to attend a weekend strategy retreat with the executive team. We're finalizing the European expansion details, she explained, packing designer clothes that seemed excessive for business meetings. Is Tyler attending? I asked casually. The whole executive team is, she replied without looking up. Interesting. I wasn't invited. And I'm the CEO. Diana finally met my gaze, her expression carefully neutral. It was Tyler's initiative. I assumed you were too busy with the security protocol upgrade to attend. That's thoughtful of Tyler to organize company retreats without consulting me. Diana's eyes narrowed slightly. You're being paranoid, Wesley. This company needs to move beyond just your vision if we want to grow. And Tyler's vision is better? Tyler understands market realities. Sometimes I think you'd rather have perfect code than profitable quarters. The mask had slipped. I nodded slowly. Enjoy your retreat. After she left, I drove to the office and spent the entire night reviewing financial records, board communications, and strategic documents. The picture became devastatingly clear. Diana and Tyler had been systematically positioning themselves for a takeover for months, cultivating relationships with board members and key investors while isolating me as merely a technical founder who couldn't lead a maturing company. By morning, I had forwarded everything to Raymond and asked him to meet me immediately. As dawn broke over Silicon Valley, I sat in my office, the office that might soon no longer be mine, and faced the dual betrayal of my wife and my company. The weekend Diana spent at this strategy retreat marked the beginning of my darkest period. Alone in our Menlo Park home, surrounded by photographs of happier times, I struggled to comprehend how thoroughly I'd been deceived. Sleep eluded me. Food lost its taste. My mind replayed 13 years of memories, questioning every moment of our relationship. Had she ever truly loved me? Or had I simply been a vehicle for her ambition? Monday morning, I forced myself to shower, dress professionally, and drive to the headquarters of Pierce Technologies. The security guard greeted me warmly, unaware that conspirators were working to remove my name from the building he protected. In my office, notifications flooded my calendar. 3 board meetings rescheduled without my knowledge. 5 client presentations reassigned to Tyler. A press release draft about executive restructuring that Diana had begun but not yet finished. Marcus, my younger brother and our head of customer success, knocked on my door around noon. You look like hell, he said bluntly, closing the door behind him. What's going on? I hesitated, embarrassed to voice the betrayal. Marcus and I had grown up in a broken home in South Chicago, our success built on a promise to always be honest with each other. Diana and Tyler are plotting to remove me as CEO, I finally said, the words burning my throat. They're convincing the board I'm not fit to lead the company anymore. And they're having an affair. Marcus stared, disbelief turning to anger. That's impossible. Diana wouldn't. I turned my monitor, showing him the emails. His expression hardened as he read. I'll kill him, Marcus said simply. That won't save the company, I replied, feeling strangely calm in contrast to my brother's rage. I need to think strategically. But strategic thinking proved nearly impossible as the days progressed. In meetings, Diana and Tyler presented united fronts on decisions we had previously disagreed on. Board members began consulting Tyler on matters typically brought to me. Staff noticed the tension, and productivity suffered. During a critical product development meeting, I lost focus while explaining the security architecture for our next platform, something I could normally describe in my sleep. Are you feeling all right, Wesley? Tyler asked with false concern. You seem distracted lately. Diana jumped in before I could respond. Perhaps Tyler should take the technical overview to the client next week. You could use a break. The room fell uncomfortably silent. Everyone present knew I never missed client presentations for our flagship product. I'm fine, I said firmly. The presentation stays with me. After the meeting, Samuel pulled me aside. They're making moves, Wesley. 3 board members called me asking questions about your technical decisions from the last quarter. Which decisions? The ones Diana and Tyler characterized as unnecessarily cautious and hindering growth. Samuel shook his head. They're building a narrative. That night, I met Raymond at his office rather than risk being seen together at Pierce Technologies. The corporate attorney listened patiently as I outlined everything I'd discovered. They've been methodical, Raymond observed, reviewing the evidence. But they've also made mistakes. The company bylaws require specific procedures for removing a founding CEO. Diana knows the bylaws. She helped write them. Raymond nodded grimly. Which means they're probably planning something that appears to follow procedure while actually circumventing your protections. What should I do? First, secure your personal finances. Separate any joint accounts. Document all company intellectual property that predates Tyler's arrival. And review your original incorporation documents. There may be clauses they've overlooked. As I drove home, Diana called. Working late again? She asked, her tone suggesting concern while her actions proved otherwise. Company issues, I replied vaguely. Anything I can help with? The audacity of her pretense nearly broke me. I don't think so, Diana. At home, I found evidence Tyler had been there, a distinctive coffee mug in the sink, a jacket definitely not mine draped over a dining chair. Diana didn't even try to explain when she returned hours later. The following week brought physical symptoms of my emotional collapse. I lost 15 pounds. Developed insomnia. My hands trembled slightly during presentations. Several employees asked if I was ill, their genuine concern a stark contrast to the calculated undermining from my wife and her lover. Marcus became my shadow, attending meetings I normally handled alone, bringing me food I couldn't eat, staying late to help review documents and strategy. They won't win, he repeated like a mantra. We built this company from nothing. They can't take it. But I watched helplessly as they cultivated relationships with our investors. Tyler hosted dinners I wasn't invited to. Diana scheduled one-on-one meetings with board members, emerging with subtle shifts in their attitudes toward me. The technical team remained loyal, but they represented only one division of the now diversified company. Sales, marketing, and business development increasingly looked to Tyler for direction. One rainy Tuesday, I arrived early to prepare for a critical board presentation, only to find Diana and Tyler already in the boardroom. Through the glass, I watched them rehearse a presentation I hadn't been consulted on. Diana reached up to straighten Tyler's tie, her fingers lingering on his chest. He captured her hand, kissed it intimately. I stood frozen, briefcase gripped so tightly my knuckles whitened. In that moment, I realized it wasn't just my company at stake, it was my entire life, built over 15 years with a woman I no longer recognized. When they noticed me, Diana didn't even have the decency to look embarrassed. Tyler merely nodded professionally, as though I'd interrupted a standard business meeting rather than a moment of personal betrayal. The board presentation proceeded with excruciating tension. Tyler presented financial projections showing risk in my proposed security enhancements. Diana outlined marketing concerns about my technical direction. I defended my vision, but could see skepticism in the eyes of board members who had once trusted me implicitly. Afterward, in the privacy of my office, I finally broke down. Tears I had suppressed for weeks flowed freely. Marcus found me there, head in hands. This ends now, he said firmly. We fight back. Through the fog of emotional devastation, I nodded. The time for strategic patience had ended. Diana and Tyler had declared war on everything I had built. Now I would defend it. The email arrived on a Thursday morning at 9:15. Emergency board meeting, 4 p.m. today, attendance mandatory. No agenda attached. No prior discussion. Sent from Diana's executive account to all board members and C-level executives. I immediately called Samuel. What do you know about this? Nothing, he replied, his voice tight with concern. But 3 board members declined my lunch invitation suddenly. Whatever's happening, it's been planned without us. Raymond's voice echoed in my head. They're probably planning something that appears to follow procedure while actually circumventing your protections. I spent the day preparing, reviewing company bylaws, gathering financial reports that demonstrated the success of my technical direction. Marcus coordinated with loyal executives, trying to understand who stood where. By 3:30, we had confirmation. Diana and Tyler had secured enough votes to attempt something significant. At precisely 4 p.m., I walked into the boardroom to find every seat filled except mine at the head of the table. Diana sat there instead, with Tyler standing confidently behind her. Board members avoided my gaze. Even Samuel looked uncomfortable. What's this about? I asked, remaining standing rather than taking a secondary seat. Diana smiled thinly. We've called this emergency session to address serious concerns about company leadership and direction. She gestured to an empty chair. Please, Wesley, take a seat. I prefer to stand, I replied evenly. As CEO and founder of Pierce Technologies, I'd like to know why an emergency board meeting was called without my knowledge of the agenda. Tyler stepped forward. That's precisely the issue at hand, Wesley. Your leadership. For the next 40 minutes, Tyler presented a carefully crafted narrative of my alleged failures. Missed growth opportunities due to my obsession with security protocols, declining innovation, resistance to necessary pivots. He displayed charts showing how our competitors had gained market share while we focused on what he called unnecessarily robust security features. Pierce Technologies was built on security excellence, I interjected. Our clients trust us precisely because we don't compromise on protection. Diana cut in smoothly. The market has evolved, Wesley. Perfect security at the expense of growth isn't sustainable. Tyler continued, presenting customer churn statistics carefully selected to support their narrative. Then came the financial projections, 2 sets. One showing modest growth under my continued leadership, another showing dramatic expansion under a new strategic direction. This is absurd, I said when he finished. These projections are based on completely unrealistic assumptions, and they ignore the fundamental value proposition of our company. Several board members shifted uncomfortably. I sensed an opening and began addressing the technical flaws in Tyler's presentation, pointing out how his growth strategy would fundamentally compromise our core product integrity. Diana interrupted. We've heard enough debate. The board has been provided with comprehensive documentation over the past weeks. It's time to vote. Vote on what exactly? I demanded. Diana's smile turned predatory. Your continued role as Chief Executive Officer of Pierce Technologies. The room fell silent. I looked at each board member in turn, people I had known for years, some friends, others respected colleagues. Most couldn't meet my eyes. This is a violation of proper procedure, I stated. Board votes on executive leadership require advance notice and proper documentation. Diana held up a folder. All properly filed 2 weeks ago. Notification was sent to your executive email. I hadn't seen any such notification, but checking my phone confirmed a buried email I had somehow missed during the chaos of recent weeks. I call for a postponement to properly review these allegations, I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. Denied, Diana replied immediately. The situation requires immediate action for the company's welfare. We'll proceed to the vote. What followed was the most humiliating 15 minutes of my professional life. One by one, board members voted. Samuel and 2 others voted against my removal. 7 voted in favor, giving Diana and Tyler their majority. The board has voted, Diana announced with barely concealed triumph. Effective immediately, Wesley Pierce is removed as Chief Executive Officer of Pierce Technologies. I stood perfectly still, feeling strangely detached as my life's work was stripped away. Diana continued. The board has approved Tyler Vaughn as interim CEO, with a permanent appointment to follow standard procedure. Tyler stepped forward. I'm honored by the board's trust. I want to assure everyone that Pierce Technologies will continue its tradition of excellence while embracing new growth opportunities. His words echoed hollow in the stunned silence. A few board members had the grace to look ashamed. Wesley, Diana said with false sympathy, security will escort you to clear your office. Your company credentials have been suspended. The board has approved a generous severance package in recognition of your founding role. The humiliation was calculated and complete. Security guards, my own employees, waited awkwardly at the door. People who normally greeted me with respect now avoided eye contact as I was escorted through the building like a criminal. In my office, Diana and Tyler watched as I collected personal items. Family photos. Awards. The original business plan I'd written 15 years ago. This is unnecessary, I said quietly. I built this company. I wouldn't damage it. Protocol must be followed, Tyler replied with professional detachment. As I placed the last items in a cardboard box, the ultimate cliché of executive removal, Diana stepped closer. The board voted. You're out, she smirked. My boyfriend is the new CEO now. Something in her tone, the naked power play, the personal betrayal made professional, triggered a memory. I smiled suddenly, catching them both off guard. Check page 391 of the contract, I said calmly. Diana's smirk faltered. What are you talking about? The original incorporation documents. Page 391. The Founder's Protection Clause. I picked up my box. You might want to read it carefully. Their confused expressions were small consolation as security escorted me from the building I had designed, past employees I had hired, through doors bearing the company name I had created. In the parking lot, Marcus waited by my car, fury etched on his face. This isn't over, he promised as I loaded my box of belongings into the trunk. No, I agreed, feeling strangely calm. It's just beginning. Raymond Chen's office featured spectacular views of San Francisco Bay, but I barely noticed as I paced the length of his conference room the morning after my removal. They can't just take my company, I insisted. I founded Pierce Technologies. My algorithms are the core of our security products. Raymond remained calm, reviewing documents with methodical precision. Technically, the board has the authority to remove a CEO, even a founder. But, he looked up with the first hint of a smile I'd seen in weeks. They may have overplayed their hand. He turned his tablet toward me, displaying a document I hadn't seen in over a decade, our original incorporation agreement, the foundational legal framework of Pierce Technologies. Page 391, Raymond said, scrolling to the relevant section. The Founder's Protection Clause you referenced yesterday. Do you remember this? I skimmed the dense legal text, memory gradually returning. Vaguely. You insisted we include special protections when we first incorporated. Because you were bringing in investors very early. Most founders get diluted and pushed out eventually. Raymond tapped the paragraph. This clause stipulates that while the board can remove you as CEO, they cannot strip you of your role as Chief Technology Officer without your explicit written consent or proven gross negligence. The implications dawned slowly. So I'm still CTO? According to this binding document, yes. Furthermore, the clause grants the CTO, you, final authority over all technical decisions and product direction. Raymond's smile widened slightly. Which means they can install Tyler as CEO, but he can't fundamentally alter the company's technical approach without your approval. For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of hope. Diana knows this document exists. Why would she risk such an obvious contradiction? Raymond shrugged. My guess? They never expected you to fight back. Most founders, faced with both professional and personal betrayal, simply take the severance and walk away. They don't know me very well then. Apparently not. There's more. Raymond scrolled further. As CTO, you retain certain shareholder privileges, including the right to call for board review of any strategic initiative that substantially impacts the company's technical foundation. I sat down heavily. So they can't fundamentally change our business model without my consent. Correct. Diana may have orchestrated your removal as CEO, but she failed to eliminate your technical authority. Raymond closed the tablet. Now we need to plan our counterattack carefully. Over the next week, a complex legal chess match unfolded. Diana, realizing her oversight, attempted to have me removed from the CTO position, claiming I had abandoned my duties by not reporting to work. I was forcibly removed from the premises and my access revoked. I reminded the judge at the emergency hearing. How exactly was I supposed to perform my CTO functions? The judge ordered my technical access reinstated while the case proceeded. Diana and Tyler immediately restricted that access to remote only, citing security concerns, an ironic claim against the person who had designed the security system. Meanwhile, I discovered Diana had transferred significant company funds to new projects outside my technical purview, clear violations of corporate governance. Raymond documented each transgression meticulously. They're getting desperate, he observed after Diana attempted to call an impromptu shareholder vote to amend the incorporation documents. The more they maneuver, the more mistakes they make. The personal aspects proved equally challenging. Diana filed for divorce simultaneously with my professional removal, seeking our Menlo Park home and half my company's shares now worth millions despite their machinations. She's overreaching, Raymond assured me. California's community property laws are complex, but your company predated the marriage, and we have documentation of her betrayal and corporate espionage. Tyler moved into our home while I relocated to a sterile extended stay hotel in Redwood City. Diana emptied our joint personal accounts, a move that backfired when Raymond used it to demonstrate financial malfeasance to the divorce court. The corporate battle intensified when Diana and Tyler announced a strategic pivot away from security software toward data analytics, precisely the kind of fundamental change that required CTO approval under page 391. They're testing boundaries, Raymond explained, seeing how far they can push before the courts intervene. I authorized a careful response, a formal letter asserting my technical authority while requesting detailed specifications of their proposed pivot. Their hasty, inadequate response strengthened our legal position. Samuel and my loyal board members provided crucial intelligence. Tyler had begun alienating customers with promises of features our technology couldn't yet support. Diana was struggling to maintain investor confidence as legal challenges mounted. Several key engineers had resigned rather than work under the new regime. The company's bleeding talent, Marcus reported during our nightly strategy call. Tyler's bringing in his own people, but they don't understand our security architecture. What about client relationships? I asked. Deteriorating. 3 major clients have escape clauses if you're not involved in their security implementations. They're watching the situation closely. This news brought both satisfaction and concern. I wanted Diana and Tyler to fail, but not at the expense of the company I'd built or the employees who depended on it. 60 days into the legal battle, Diana made her most desperate move, filing for a restraining order claiming I posed a cyber threat to Pierce Technologies. This is absurd, I told Raymond as we prepared for the hearing. I built the company's security protocols. If I wanted to damage systems, I wouldn't need physical access. They're grasping at straws, Raymond agreed. But be prepared for personal attacks. Diana will likely testify about your emotional state after discovering their affair. The hearing proved exactly as unpleasant as predicted. Diana tearfully described her fear of my increasingly erratic behavior, conveniently omitting her betrayal as the cause of any emotional distress. Tyler presented himself as the reasonable business leader trying to protect company assets from a disgruntled founder. When my turn came, I simply presented facts, my spotless security record, multiple patents, and industry reputation. The judge, clearly unimpressed with Diana's theatrics, denied the restraining order. Outside the courthouse, reporters had gathered. Someone had tipped off the tech press about the hearing. Diana and Tyler emerged first, hurrying to their waiting car without comment. When I appeared with Raymond, a journalist called out, "Mr. Pierce, how does it feel to be locked out of your own company?" I paused, remembering Raymond's advice to remain professionally detached in public. Pierce Technologies represents 15 years of innovation in security software. I remain committed to protecting that legacy and ensuring the company continues to serve its clients with the highest standards of technical excellence. The measured response played well in subsequent coverage, contrasting with what one outlet called the increasingly chaotic management transition under Vaughn and Pierce Lawson. 3 months after my removal, Raymond called with breakthrough news. "We've obtained Tyler's emails from before he joined Pierce Technologies. He was strategizing with Diana about taking control of the company while still employed by his previous firm." "That's corporate espionage," I said, the implications clear. "Exactly. And it completely undermines their claims about acting in the company's best interest." Raymond's voice held rare excitement. "This is the leverage we needed." That evening, I reviewed the damning evidence. Detailed exchanges where Tyler and Diana discussed how to systematically undermine my leadership, identified board members to target, and even calculated how to maximize their financial gain from my removal. Most devastating was an email where Diana wrote, "Wesley's technical brilliance built this company, but his loyalty is his weakness. He trusts me completely, which gives us the perfect opportunity to position you before he realizes what's happening." Tyler's response: "Once we control Pierce Technologies, we can shift focus from his obsessive security standards to more profitable ventures. The brand value alone will triple our options." Their naked ambition and calculation crystallized my resolve. This was no longer just about reclaiming my position, it was about exposing their betrayal to everyone they had manipulated. "What's our next move?" I asked Raymond during our strategy call. "They're holding a company-wide meeting tomorrow to announce their new strategic direction," Raymond replied. "Perfect timing for us to make our counterattack." "How legal is what we're planning?" Marcus asked, concern evident in his voice. Raymond's response was measured. "Everything we're doing is firmly within Wesley's rights as CTO and founding shareholder. The question isn't legality, it's impact." I nodded, understanding completely. After months of calculated humiliation and betrayal, I would finally have my moment to respond. "Let's proceed," I said quietly. "Tomorrow, Diana and Tyler learn the consequences of not reading the fine print." Pierce Technologies' annual innovation showcase had always been my favorite company event. Historically, I would present our technical roadmap to employees, clients, and investors, with Diana handling the business implications. This year, Tyler stood at the podium in my place, Diana beaming proudly from the front row as he outlined their bold new direction. I watched from the back of the auditorium, unnoticed among hundreds of attendees. Tyler's presentation displayed impressive confidence but revealed fundamental misunderstandings of our core technology. He promised integration capabilities our architecture couldn't support, and timelines no engineering team could meet. "This is painful to watch," Samuel whispered beside me. "He's promising the impossible." "That's the point," I replied quietly. "They never understood what made our technology valuable." As Tyler concluded to polite applause, Diana joined him on stage for the Q&A portion. They fielded softball questions from friendly board members, creating an illusion of competent leadership. "And now," Diana announced with practiced charm, "we'd like to introduce our new Chief Information Officer, Lawrence Matthews, who'll oversee the technical transition I know many of you have questions about." My replacement, a man I'd never met, took the stage. I checked my watch and nodded to Samuel. It was time. "Excuse me," I called out, standing. Heads turned throughout the auditorium. "I have a question about this transition." Diana's smile froze as she recognized my voice. Tyler squinted into the audience lighting, trying to locate me. "Wesley," Diana recovered quickly. What an unexpected surprise. Perhaps we could address your concerns privately after the presentation? I moved into the center aisle, becoming visible to everyone. I think these concerns should be addressed publicly, considering they affect the future of Pierce Technologies. Murmurs spread through the audience. Employees who hadn't seen me since my removal looked shocked. Investors leaned forward with interest. This isn't the appropriate forum, Tyler stated firmly into his microphone. Actually, it's exactly the right forum. I continued walking toward the stage. You're announcing fundamental changes to the company's technical direction. As Chief Technology Officer of Pierce Technologies, I have some questions. Diana stepped forward. You were removed from your positions months ago. As CEO, yes. But not as CTO. I reached the stage steps. Page 391 of the original incorporation documents specifically protects my position as Chief Technology Officer regardless of other leadership changes. The room fell silent. Security guards looked uncertainly between me and Diana, unsure whether to intervene. Those documents were superseded, Tyler claimed, though his expression betrayed uncertainty. No, they weren't. Raymond Chen stood from his seat, legal documents in hand. The Founders Protection Clause remains in full legal effect, as confirmed by Judge Harrington last week. I have the ruling here for anyone interested. I took the final steps onto the stage, standing equal distance from Diana and Tyler. Which means all technical decisions and product direction changes require my approval as CTO. Diana's composed facade cracked slightly. Wesley, this is unprofessional. We can discuss this privately. Like you privately discussed removing me with Tyler for months before actually doing it? I turned to address the audience directly. What many of you don't know is that before joining Pierce Technologies, Tyler Vaughn conspired with Diana to systematically undermine my leadership and take control of this company. Tyler stepped toward me. That's a slanderous accusation. It would be, except we have the emails. I nodded to Samuel, who activated the presentation system from his tablet. The auditorium screen shifted from Tyler's slick corporate slides to the damning email exchanges between him and Diana, dated months before he joined the company. The audience gasped as particularly damning sections were highlighted. Wesley's technical paranoia limits profit potential. Once he's removed, we can cut the excessive security features customers don't appreciate anyway. Tyler Vaughn. The board trusts me implicitly as Wesley's wife. They'll never suspect we're working together until it's too late. Diana Pierce. Diana lunged for the presentation controls, but Samuel had bypassed the stage system entirely. Tyler attempted damage control. These emails are taken out of context, he insisted. We were discussing theoretical business scenarios. There's nothing theoretical about corporate espionage, I replied calmly. Or about violating fiduciary duty as a board member, which Diana did by conspiring against the company's interests. The audience was completely silent now, watching the drama unfold with collective shock. This changes nothing, Diana declared, though her voice trembled slightly. The board voted. Tyler is CEO now. Yes, he is, I acknowledged. But as CTO with final technical authority, I cannot approve the direction outlined today. It violates our core security principles and makes promises our architecture cannot deliver. I turned to the investors and board members. Furthermore, as founding shareholder, I'm invoking Section 5 of our governance charter to call for a full board review of recent executive decisions made without proper technical consultation. Marcus stood from his seat. As head of customer success, I should inform everyone that 3 of our largest clients have already contacted me with concerns about the proposed changes. They've indicated they will exercise their contract clauses allowing termination if our security protocols are modified without Wesley Pierce's explicit approval. Diana's carefully constructed facade finally cracked completely. You can't do this. We voted. We won. The board voted to change the CEO. I corrected her. They didn't vote to abandon our core technology or compromise our security standards. And they certainly didn't vote based on complete information about your conspiracy with Tyler. Several board members were now standing, signaling their desire to speak. The carefully orchestrated showcase had transformed into an impromptu shareholder intervention. I addressed the room once more. Pierce Technologies was built on a commitment to uncompromising security. That's why our clients trust us with their most sensitive data. That's why we've grown consistently for 15 years. And that's what these proposed changes would destroy. One of our longest-serving board members, Eleanor Jenkins, approached the microphone in the audience section. In light of these revelations, I move for an immediate recess of this showcase and an emergency board meeting to review the evidence presented. Seconded, called another board member. Diana appeared genuinely panicked now. This is a publicity stunt. Wesley is just bitter about our personal relationship ending. This isn't about our marriage, Diana, I said quietly. It's about the company we built and the people who depend on it. It's about trust and integrity in leadership. Tyler, sensing the tide turning, attempted one final power play. As CEO, I'm terminating this event. Everyone please exit in an orderly fashion. Actually, Samuel interjected. Company bylaws require a showcase presentation to continue once initiated unless there's a security emergency. As security director, I can confirm there is no such emergency. The audience remained seated, collectively choosing to witness the complete unraveling of Diana and Tyler's authority. Check page 391. I repeated, meeting Diana's eyes directly. You should have read the fine print. The emergency board meeting convened 30 minutes later in the main conference room, while employees and clients buzzed with speculation in the reception area. Inside, Raymond methodically presented evidence of Diana and Tyler's conspiracy, their violations of governance procedures, and their misrepresentations to the board. 3 hours later, the board emerged with their decision. Tyler Vaughn was removed as CEO, effective immediately. Diana was suspended from her positions pending full investigation. An interim leadership team would be established with me returning as acting CEO while maintaining CTO responsibilities. As Diana and Tyler were escorted from the building, experiencing the same humiliation they had inflicted on me months earlier, Diana made one final desperate attempt. Wesley, please. She caught my arm as I passed. We can work this out. We were good together once. I gently removed her hand. We were. But you chose ambition over integrity. The company deserves better leadership than that. This isn't over. Tyler threatened as security led him to the exit. Actually, it is, I replied calmly. The legal team is already preparing charges of corporate espionage and breach of fiduciary duty. Your professional reputations won't survive this, let alone your careers. As they disappeared through the glass doors, Samuel approached. Justice served? I watched their retreating figures with complicated emotions. Justice for the company, yes. The personal betrayal. I shrugged. That's a different matter. What now? Marcus asked, joining us. I turned to face the building that once again recognized my authority, the company I had built from nothing and fought to reclaim. Now we rebuild. 1 year passed remarkably quickly after the boardroom confrontation that business media dubbed the Pierce Technologies coup and counter-coup. Spring arrived in Silicon Valley, bringing new growth that mirrored the company's rejuvenation under restored leadership. The headquarters building looked different now. We had relocated to a modern campus in Mountain View, leaving behind the Palo Alto offices tainted by betrayal. The move symbolized our fresh start while reaffirming our core values. The lobby featured our founding principle in elegant typography. Security without compromise. I stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows of my new office, watching employees cross the central courtyard. Many faces were new. We had lost some talent during the turmoil but gained extraordinary people attracted by our resilience and recommitment to technical excellence. Quarterly numbers just came in, Marcus announced, entering without knocking, a brotherly privilege he maintained despite his promotion to Chief Operating Officer. 14% growth over projected. The Richardson contract put us over the top. I smiled, genuine satisfaction replacing the grim determination that had driven me during the darkest months. The team deserves credit for that one. Their security implementation was flawless. Your architecture made it possible, Marcus countered, dropping into a chair. Speaking of architecture, how's the house coming? After finalizing my divorce from Diana, a process simplified by her legal vulnerability regarding corporate espionage, I had purchased land in the hills overlooking the valley and begun building a home that reflected my personal values: solid foundation, transparent design, multiple layers of protection. Framing complete, security systems next week, I replied. Should be move-in ready by September. Marcus nodded approvingly. Better than that sterile hotel you lived in for months. The extended stay hotel had served its purpose during the crisis, but moving forward meant creating new spaces unburdened by painful memories. My assistant Olivia knocked lightly before entering. Sorry to interrupt, but the leadership team is assembled for the strategy session. We'll be right there, I assured her. Olivia had joined us 3 months after the confrontation, bringing exceptional organizational skills and a refreshingly direct communication style. Her background in both technology and psychology made her invaluable during our rebuilding phase. The conference room contained a team that had emerged stronger through adversity. Samuel had become Chief Security Officer, his loyalty rewarded with expanded responsibility. Raymond had left his law firm to become our General Counsel. Several technical leaders who stood by our security principles during the coup had received well-deserved promotions. Before we begin, I addressed the room. I want to acknowledge the anniversary. 1 year ago today, we reclaimed Pierce Technologies' founding vision. Every person in this room contributed to that recovery and the remarkable growth since. Nods around the table reflected shared pride in our resilience. Now, let's discuss the future. I activated the presentation screen displaying our 5-year strategy. The security landscape continues evolving. Our challenge is maintaining our core principles while adapting to new threat vectors. The meeting progressed with the collaborative energy that had become our hallmark: passionate but respectful disagreement, creative problem solving, and decisions based on both technical merit and business wisdom. Afterward, I invited Samuel and Marcus to join me for dinner at a new restaurant in Palo Alto, away from curious ears at our usual spots. Have you heard the latest about Diana and Tyler? Samuel asked once we were seated. I had deliberately avoided seeking information about my ex-wife and her lover. Their legal troubles had played out publicly enough. Both faced civil penalties and industry blacklisting for their corporate malfeasance. Criminal charges had been considered but ultimately not pursued when they agreed to settlements that included non-disclosure agreements and non-compete clauses. I haven't sought updates, I admitted. Their consulting firm failed spectacularly, Marcus supplied, unable to entirely hide his satisfaction. Turns out potential clients research who they hire, and conspiracy to commit corporate espionage doesn't inspire confidence. Apparently they've separated, Samuel added. Tyler blamed Diana for not properly researching the incorporation documents. Diana blamed Tyler for overconfidence in their strategy. The information stirred less emotion than I expected. Betrayal makes poor foundation for lasting relationships. Speaking of relationships, Marcus transitioned not so subtly. When are you asking Olivia to dinner? I nearly choked on my water. She's my assistant. And clearly interested in you, Samuel observed. The whole office sees it. The whole office needs to focus on their actual jobs, I countered, uncomfortable with the direction of conversation. Marcus laughed. The mighty Wesley Pierce, fearless against corporate conspirators but terrified of asking a woman to dinner. I'm her boss. It would be inappropriate. You're healing, not dead, Marcus persisted. And company policy only requires disclosure and recusal from direct supervision. You could easily restructure reporting relationships. I changed the subject, but their comments lingered. The truth was more complex than professional boundaries. Diana's betrayal had damaged my ability to trust, To believe someone might value me for myself rather than what I could provide professionally. Weekly therapy sessions had helped me process the trauma of dual betrayal, personal and professional, but romantic vulnerability remained challenging. Dr. Keller had gently suggested that avoiding connection meant allowing Diana's actions to dictate my future happiness. The following week, I made a decision. After a productive strategy meeting where Olivia had contributed several insightful observations, I asked her to stay behind. "I'd like to discuss a potential restructuring," I began formally. "Is there a problem with my performance?" she asked directly. "Quite the opposite. Your contributions exceed your current role." I hesitated, then abandoned the corporate speak. "Olivia, would you be interested in dinner Saturday?" "Not as colleagues. As a date." Her surprise gave way to a warm smile. "I was wondering if you'd ever ask. Company policy requires disclosure and reporting restructuring," I explained. "If you're interested, I'd arrange for you to report to Marcus instead of me." "I'm definitely interested," she confirmed. "In both dinner and the role change. Your ex-wife was a fool, you know." The blunt assessment startled a laugh from me. Not how most people would address their boss. Good thing I'm addressing my potential date, not my boss. Her confidence was refreshing. "Saturday at 7? Our first date revealed compatibility beyond professional respect. Olivia's background included overcoming her own betrayal, a fiancé who had embezzled from her family business. She understood trust issues without needing elaborate explanations. As months passed, our relationship developed with deliberate care and complete transparency. When she first visited my newly completed home, she appreciated the security features but gently suggested more warmth in the interior design. "A fortress can still be a home," she observed, helping select furnishings that balance protection with comfort. Pierce Technologies continued flourishing under leadership that balanced innovation with security integrity. We expanded thoughtfully, acquiring complementary technologies and talent rather than growing merely for growth's sake. Perhaps most meaningful was the mentorship program I established for young entrepreneurs, teaching them not just technical skills but ethical leadership principles. "Security extends beyond code," I would tell them. "It includes protecting your vision, your team, and your integrity." During one mentoring session, a young founder asked about the coup attempt. "How did you survive such complete betrayal?" I considered the question carefully. "By remembering what was truly valuable." Diana and Tyler wanted the company's success but didn't understand its foundation, our unwavering commitment to security excellence. They saw our technical standards as obstacles to profit rather than the source of our value. "And personally?" the young woman pressed. "How do you trust again after that?" "By recognizing that Diana's actions reflected her character, not my worth," I answered honestly. "And by understanding that refusing to trust again would mean allowing her betrayal to determine my future." True security isn't about building impenetrable walls. It's about creating systems resilient enough to recover from inevitable breaches. On the second anniversary of reclaiming Pierce Technologies, I invited the entire company to our campus courtyard for an unprecedented announcement. With Olivia, Marcus, Samuel, and the leadership team beside me, I shared our newest initiative, the Pierce Security Foundation, dedicated to helping small businesses implement enterprise-grade security protocols. "Our success brings responsibility," I told the assembled employees. "Every organization deserves protection, not just those with massive budgets." The initiative represented everything Diana and Tyler had failed to understand about our company's purpose. Security wasn't merely our product, it was our mission. Later that evening, in the quiet of my hillside home with Olivia, I reflected on the journey from betrayal to renewal. 2 years ago, I thought I'd lost everything that mattered. Olivia took my hand. "Instead, you rediscovered what truly matters." The wisdom of her observation struck me deeply. Diana and Tyler had attempted to steal my company through deception and manipulation. Their failure wasn't just because they overlooked page 391, it was because they fundamentally misunderstood the company's soul. They coveted the success but disregarded the principles that created it. What are you thinking about so intensely? Olivia asked. Fine print, I replied with a smile. And how sometimes the most important details are hidden in plain sight. That night, as we watched the lights of Silicon Valley from my deck, I felt genuine gratitude for the painful journey. The betrayal had stripped away everything superficial, forcing me to defend what truly mattered: integrity, purpose, authentic relationships. Diana and Tyler hadn't just failed to read page 391. They had failed to understand that true security comes from building something of genuine value, not from scheming to take what others have built. Have you ever experienced betrayal that ultimately led to something better? Share your story in the comments below. If this journey of corporate intrigue and personal resilience resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more real-life experiences and lessons learned. Remember, sometimes what seems like your darkest moment is actually the beginning of your greatest strength. Thank you for listening, and may you find security in what truly matters.